I won't ever forget January 8th, 2018. I have my scopes, and as I'm laying in recovery, waking up, I hear the GI doc tell Becky, the upper is fine. She has colon cancer, though. She has a large tumor in her colon. And I was like, and I just remember laying there thinking, what the fuck?
Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends Podcast, a podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today is an old friend, not that old. We've only known each other for about 12 years. It is Dana Cardinas, and we met in 2013 in Nashville, Tennessee at Rem Jackson's top practices, but our friendship got bonded even more from about 2015 onwards when we were at Dave Free's Business Black Ops event, which people have heard that I go to on a regular basis. So, Dana, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to be here, Tyson. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I knew you would bring the energy, and I should mention to people that Dana lives in Texas, so there is a slight accent.
Yes, most definitely, and I apologize for my attire today. I literally just got out of the pool. It's hot, and it's summertime, and it was pool time tonight, so yes.
So are you born and bred Texan?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Central Texas, yes, on a ranch, 300-acre ranch.
I've seen photos of you driving tractors.
Yes, yeah. So most recently convinced my dad to teach me how to drive the bulldozer. So finally was able to get on that machine after 50-something years.
He wouldn't let you drive it.
No, he's very protective of that thing. So understandably, he didn't want me to take it out any fences, but I did pretty good for my first go.
So what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to tell people a bit of a rundown. We're going to talk about what got you into podiatry and also what got you out of podiatry and what you're currently doing now, which I think is pretty cool. So Let's go to that first question. Why podiatry? How did you get into podiatry in the first place?
So I always, my entire life, since I was wee little, I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't have a specific profession. I just knew I wanted to be a doctor. But as I went through undergrad and spent time shadowing different professions, I narrowed down things that I didn't want to do. I knew I didn't want to do certain things. And after I graduated from undergrad, I just needed some time to figure out what was going to be next. While I was studying for my MCATs, getting ready to try to get into med school, and I worked in a large podiatry practice in Carrollton, Texas. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I started just in their front office answering phones. I needed a job to pay bills. And I went from answering phones to being a medical assistant because I was very interested in what they were doing back there. And at one point, one of the docs pulled me aside and said, Dana, you need to do this for a living because you're diagnosing and treating my patients. And really, you should be paid for it if you're going to do it. And we had a long talk about it, and I really picked his brain about why he wanted to be a podiatrist. What did he get out of it? Why did he like it? And what was happening in podiatry that I didn't see? And what did I not know? I really wanted to know about it.
That's a really good question, though, that you asked, because I do think sometimes when people are choosing careers, or even when they're in podiatry now, and they may have only been in for a couple of years and go, oh, I don't know if I should keep doing this, they need to talk to people. Even if they'd send an email and say, can we jump on a Zoom call with someone like myself that's been in the profession for well over 30 years, is reach out to those people and say, why did you stay in this profession for so long when I feel like giving it away after 2 or 3 years?
Right. And that is key, honestly, for any profession. Honestly, I think is reaching out to people in your profession and asking them, if you're burnt out, find out, what's the other person doing that they love it so much that they can help you? But this practice had 7 docs in it. And I talked to all of them. And they all had such good things to say about the specialty. They loved it. And that from a doc that had been out for 2 years to, I want to say the one doc that started the group had been out for 30 something years. So at the time, so like they were in it, they loved it. They loved the business side of it, but they loved treating the patient, just the whole aspect of it.
Yeah.
So that's when I said, okay, I'm doing this because I really liked it. I loved the idea that you could see a patient and maybe fix their problem right away. Maybe it was just a simple ingrown toenail. Boom, you fixed it and they feel better. Or you could offer them something that wasn't surgically related, like orthotics, or just talking to them about improved running. Anything like that could just make them feel better almost instantly. But then there was also that other side of it for me that really grabbed my attention, was taking something structural that wasn't working right and fixing it so that they could function either without pain or more appropriately. So that was a big draw for me. That was my draw.
Okay.
Yeah, because I loved working with my hands. Again, I grew up that way. I didn't grow up in the city. I grew up on a farm and we fixed things. And so that was my track. And so that's how I got into podiatry. So I applied to 4 or 5 different schools. And so I ended up going to Temple University in Philadelphia, which blew my mind. I was not from a size of a city that big. So that was like a culture shock for this West Texas girl. But I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I just soaked it up. I traveled while I was there a ton, but I also made such great friends. But I really just dove right in it, man. I dove right in it. I wanted to know everything about podiatry and loved it. Went to residency back here in Texas, so a year in San Antonio, and then 2 years with the late, great Sam Mendocino in Houston. God rest that guy. But from that point, knew that, okay, this is where I was supposed to be. Yeah. This is what I was supposed to be doing. And then ended up in practice in Grapevine, fantastic practice in Grapevine. And we grew that practice to 2 locations, actually. So we had one in Grapevine and one in Keller. So I joined Foot and Ankle Associates of North Texas and then ended up becoming a partner there about a year and a half after I joined. So yeah, it was awesome. Loved
and that's
it.
Where you were right up through to you finishing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really didn't have plans of retiring when I did.
Yeah.
I just didn't have an option.
We'll get to that in a sec. But the one thing I noticed when I first met you too, and why we've probably remained friends, is I've always loved your energy. And I'm sure people, whether they're watching the video on YouTube or they're listening to the podcast, they can pick up your energy. And I would say that was a big part of what made you a good podiatrist too. You took that energy into the room.
I did. Who I am is exactly who I was when I walked into a patient's room. It didn't matter if you were 3 years old or 103 years old, you got the same me. And we smiled and we laughed and we talked about your life, not mine. And we talked about your kids and your family. And I got to know you. And when some of my patients hit huge milestones in their treatment, whether that be my diabetic patients when we healed ulcers or we saved limbs, or my ankle fracture patients when they could actually put their boots back on and go back to work, we would dance down the halls. Yeah. We would party down the hall. That's who I was. And you got this when you came to see me, which was usually quite a mess. Let me tell you that. It was fun.
I just love it. And you worked for a couple of years at the practice that you ended up becoming a partner in. Was that always part of your plan to become a partner, or you never even thought about that? It took you by surprise that they wanted this loud Texan. Hey, by the way, is everyone in Texas loud?
No.
Okay.
Most of us are. Yeah. Yes, most of us are. There are just some that are a little louder than others. But yeah, yes.
Are you one of the louder ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just checking. Just wanted to check, so I'm prepared in December.
Get ready, man.
So when they approached you about buying in the practice, were you sort of like, yeah, that's great, that's what I was hoping would happen, or did it take you by surprise?
I think timing wise took me by surprise because it happened a little sooner than what I thought. But the way the three of us, at the time, there was only three of us, and we gelled so well together that it just seemed like a natural fit for that to happen. And so it was perfect timing. And in residency, you always heard, oh, you want to be a partner in a practice. That's where you want to head. And now looking back on it and talking to my residency mates that were not partners in a practice because they chose not to go that route, that it didn't fit their lifestyle. So I would say anybody listening, you don't feel like if you're not a partner, you're not successful by any means. It just might not be the track that it fits your life. For us, in that particular moment, it was perfect. It was the right scenario for us to do that. And it worked out phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I think some people meant to be business owners. Like I was always meant to work for myself. I just always knew that was going to happen. And the funny part is neither of my parents own their own business. Nobody in my family that I even know had their own business. So why I was that way, I have no idea. That was just in me. But I think there's certain people that they should never own their own business. They should stay as employees because they are really good employees. Yeah. And what, like you said too, it's a different level of pressure you get when you're actually the business owner, that when you're an employee, you go away on your 4 weeks holiday. You don't have to think about anything.
Right.
2 weeks in America. You only get 2 weeks holiday in America, don't you?
It depends on how much you negotiate, man.
But in general, in America, 2 weeks is all you get.
Depends. Most of the docs that we, when we brought in docs as associates, we gave them 3 weeks in the beginning. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, but in Australia, mandatory 4 weeks holiday, paid.
I think honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I think everybody should move to Australia. Numerous reasons, just to hear you guys speak all the time. But if you can get 4 weeks automatic, man, sign me up.
Being an employer, you used to sometimes go, oh, damn it, when people are on holidays. But as a society, I think it's a fantastic thing because you need to have those mental breaks away from your business. And this is a problem that business owners don't do, is they work from morning till night. They don't take holidays. They do it year after year and they burn themselves out. And I think you've got to have that break.
Right. And it's hard as a business owner to take the break. It's hard to walk away because you get in your mind that I'm not making any money if I'm not there. And if I've got to have the money, so I can't take off. You just get into that cycle. But when you take the time away is when you have clarity and you can think. And then you usually end up making better decisions, which make you more money in the long run.
Yeah. I remember my first, I'd take a week off here and there, but it wasn't till, I think it was 2012 that I took my first 3-week break away from clinic, went overseas, went to America, did the trifecta of Disneyland, Las Vegas, and then San Francisco.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And I had a daughter with us and my wife, and we went with another family. Had such a good trip. I came back to work and nothing had changed. Everyone was still working. In fact, they were probably enjoying me not being there. Better. and from that year onwards, I realized I can take time off. So I was taking 2-3 week holidays a couple of times a year, never look back. Right. So I think you got to trust your team.
Yeah. And that's it too. If you build a team that you've trained well, they know what they're doing, they know how to handle the situations, and they know who to call when they don't know the answer. That situation's going to come up. But when you've got that training in place, you can leave. Trust me, they want you to go. They want you to go.
They
because
do.
You're getting cranky and you're getting agitated, and they want you out as much as you need to take a break. Oh, yeah.
But I totally get it. And I totally understand if someone is a solo practitioner and they feel that they can't do it. But I think if you're a solo practitioner, go back to one of my earliest episodes on this podcast. It was episode 10 with Andrew Snyder, and it's running a successful solo practice. This guy is the most relaxed. He's been doing this for 30 years or something now.
Love that
Solo
guy. Yeah.
practitioner, has never employed another podiatrist. He goes to Disneyland more often than anybody else I know. So I
Right,
think
right.
if you're a solo practitioner, go back and listen to episode 10 because it will change the way you think about having a solo practice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A super good friend of mine that we went to residency together. He was a solo practitioner for, gosh, at least 10 years before he brought on an associate.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, he was this, I can't leave. But once he figured out, okay, I've got someone local that can cover my call if I'm out. They can take phone calls for patients that call in after hours or have an emergency, whatever it might be. So he had coverage for that. They didn't come in the office, but it was just a quick phone call if necessary. When he figured that out, he would take vacation about once every 8 weeks. It might be a short little like 4-day thing,
Yeah.
but he was gone somewhere and his practice grew immensely just simply because he was getting that mental break. Because let's just get real, it's not easy to do what we do. It's not
No. And it's one of those things too. Every patient that comes through the door could be a potential lawsuit. And that's something that's always, and that's why we have insurance and that, but we choose this profession and you know that 99.999% of patients come in, that is never going to happen.
No, it's never going to happen, right?
And majority of patients are nice.
Right. Majority. Or there's always the potential that patient's going to walk in your front door that you don't know is going to absolutely kill your day. Just kill it. It's over. Done. There goes the schedule. Forget it. You're not getting home till way late because that one person entered your office. But it's what we signed up for.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I'm not different than anybody else. I think we thrive on that a little bit. I think we do love that little bit of excitement.
Okay, just want to quickly jump in here. If you're a podiatrist running a clinic and you're currently getting bombarded by some of those bigger coaching companies promising you the world, take a breath. Just breathe in. I've been in podiatry for over 35 years, built clinics, moved them, sold them, and I've made plenty of mistakes along the way, which means I know how to help you avoid them. The difference, I actually know podiatry. I've lived it. And when we work together, you're not stuck watching cookie cutter videos in some online portal or getting group support from someone who maybe have never run a podiatry clinic. You get me and you get me one-on-one. So if you're in business and you're feeling it's a little bit clunky and you know you're capable of more, but you just need a little bit of guidance, let's talk. No fluff, no sales pitch, just some really tailored advice. Go to my website, TysonFranklin.com, click on all the links there and let's have a chat. Okay, let's get back onto this episode with Dana.
Get excited about walking in that door to the patient room of, okay, what kind of shit am I going to see on this one? Like, what crazy crap did this guy just do that I'm going to have to fix? And that was always my favorite.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think in life in general, everybody wants a certain amount of certainty, which you need, makes you feel comfortable and secure, but you also need that little bit of uncertainty to keep life interesting. And I feel when I hear someone, oh, I'm bored with podiatry, I want to leave, it's the same thing day in, day out. I'm going, you need to change things up.
Yes.
It's obviously, however you're running your day, you've got too much certainty. You need a little bit of uncertainty to spice things up a little bit. And it doesn't mean just go and walk into work and sack somebody and create chaos. It's just your approach to work.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit different.
I totally agree. And that might be why you're bored.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I wanted to, I could pick a certain part of podiatry, keep doing that, and I would be bored senseless. I needed different types of patients coming through with different types of injuries to make it interesting. Yes. But some days I did want to just switch my brain off. I didn't want to have to use it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm going to pivot slightly because you love podiatry so much. Everyone must be listening to this. They hear your energy, your enthusiasm. You loved it. Why'd you leave?
Oh, in December, about mid-December 2015. And I thought I had carpal tunnel. my hands were just killing me at night. And in here in the US, the end of the year is always slamming busy because everybody's met their deductibles. They want everything done before the end of the year. Okay. And so we are all just maxed out. We've had surgery schedules full for 3 months or more. Patients are just like, I got to get in, I got to get in, I got it in. So we're busy and we make it happen. That's what we do. We make it happen. So I would go to bed at night and wear these wraps on my wrists because it just felt better. And I kept thinking, all right, I got to go get this checked out. My hands just really hurt. But the next day I was like, it's okay. It's not hurting as much. But by the end of a long surgery day, it was pain. And it was pain, especially on my right, that was going up to my elbow. And I was like, all right, I just got to go get this checked out. So get through December. I'm in the first week of January, and it was fairly quiet, which was unusual. And I had one case booked on a Friday afternoon, and it was a tiny fifth toe arthroplasty. Literally, anybody that does these on a regular basis, skin to skin, you're looking at max 6 minutes to me. Yeah. That was me. Max. Boom. It's not hard. And it took me 20 minutes and I couldn't feel what I was doing. And I was terrified. And had I had another case, I would have canceled it. And I left. I got in the car and I called the office, canceled all of my cases that were coming up, put them onto one of the other partners, and called my friend who's a neurologist and said, I'm coming over, something's wrong. And she was awesome. I had actually done surgery on her two years prior because she had some really cool ganglion cyst on her foot, which was amazing, but another story. And so she said, come on over. She did a nerve conduction study on me. And she said, Dana, how long have you had this? And I was like, this week, like today, today. And she's like, how did you not see this happening? Because as she showed me at the time, and I'll show you my hands in the camera, I had lost the muscle mass on both of my hands along my thumb, especially along my ulnar side. On my right, a little bit on my left. And the nerve conduction study showed that I had severe ulnar neuropathy on both sides. She's like, that doesn't just happen overnight. I'm like, I'm telling you, I had pain, but I could feel until today. And so we did some further studies over the course of next 2 to 3 weeks, and then really realized that what I had was not going to be reversible. I had severe loss of my muscles in my hands, but also nerve damage. And I didn't have an option, but I had to retire.
If you had picked it up earlier, could you have prevented this from happening, or was it inevitable that it was going to happen?
Well, it was inevitable because I didn't know what I had at the time, which as we'll continue the conversation, you'll hear, she diagnosed me with idiopathic ulnar neuropathy because we went through all the tests, all the blood work tests, the MRIs of my neck, you name it, trying to find a reason for this to have happened suddenly, which we never came up with a reason. I ended up getting an ulnar release on my right side that helped the pain, but I was officially retired March 31st of 2016. So within 90 days, I found out I had basically permanent neuropathy in my hands that was with a sudden onset, and I was retired. Boom, out.
How old were you then?
At the time, I was 46.
Unexpected.
Yeah. Very unexpected. That was not on the bingo card for that year, Tyson, at all.
It's like one of those things like death pool. People bet on who's going to pass away that year. You never would have thought in 2015, and we had caught up in October 2015, that within 6 months you'd be retired. That'd be it. Yeah. And I still remember the photo of us in 2015 where I had my cactus shirt on. Remember before we went out into the desert, and you thought it was hilarious.
That photo just popped up on my phone as a memory the other day. Yes.
It is a great
Yes.
photo.
It's the best. Yes.
And I always tell people that too, that it's one of those things, just life in general, you don't know what's going to happen. And and you can't sit there in fear thinking, oh, is this going to happen? But every now and then you will be thrown a curveball, and it's how you bounce back.
Right. It's true. I was not expecting the curveballs that would happen after that, for sure.
I know there were more curveballs.
And they kept coming for a while. But so here I am. I'm done. I had no idea what I was going to do next. So tried a few things here and there, but it just wasn't supposed to pan out, to be honest. It just wasn't supposed to, because in January of 2018, I was having some pain in my abdomen, my lower abdomen, like right lower quadrant pain. And I kept putting it off to, oh, no, it's probably gas. It's probably this. It's what we all do as physicians. I'm fine. It's whatever. Yeah. We think we know. And so my wife, Becky, said, will you just go get it checked out? You're really complaining about it. You should actually get it checked out. So I go see the GI doc, explain what I've got going on. And he was like, you know what? It sounds like it's nothing, because I did have a history of like acid reflux and some GI stuff. And he's like, that's probably nothing, but let's just do an upper and a lower endoscopy and let's just see.
Yeah. And were you the windy one in the relationship?
Yes, most definitely.
And that's why
always.
When you had that pain, first thing you think, oh, it's just gas again.
Right. Yeah. It's gas, whatever. Yeah. And so I won't ever forget January 8th, 2018, I have my scopes. And as I'm laying in recovery, waking up, I hear the GI doc tell Becky, the upper is fine. She has colon cancer, though. She has a large tumor in her colon. And I was like, and I just remember laying there thinking, what the, I have cancer?
Yeah, I'll be thinking the same thing.
I have cancer? Like the real cancer? And so.
The real one.
Yeah, like the real one. So I ended up, he couldn't complete the colonoscopy because the tumor was too big for him to pass it. So that day was a blur. And then the next day I called my friend who was a colorectal surgeon that I sat on a board with at one of the hospitals and said, Cliff, guess what? I need you. And he's basically said, I'll see you in the morning. And then right after that phone call, I called my good friend who is an oncologist who I used to call when I got those reports back, you know, when you do biopsies in the office and it comes back melanoma and you're like, oh shit, melanoma on a toe. I don't need to be seeing this. This is not she was the one that I would call to say, Heidi, who's the best oncological surgeon that needs this? She was my sounding board when I got those strange things back. And so I called her and said, Heidi, guess what? I need you. And she said, okay, I'll see you when Cliff is done with you. And they literally became my team overnight. And they talked to each other before I even got to his office the next morning. They had a plan in place for me. And so I had CT scans the next day, saw him. I've come to find out I had a very large tumor that was over 10 inches long, and it was almost 99% occluding in my colon. So likely had I gone another couple of weeks, a month, I probably would not be here because it would have just ended me. So then fast forward after that, he did surgery. I lost 27 inches of my ascending and transverse colon, but he was able to reanastomose both ends so that I did not end up with a bag, which I wasn't excited about if I was going to have one, but if it kept me alive, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Me, I would have made a ton of jokes out of it, and it would have been like,
Oh, you carried around like a handbag.
oh God, yes, it would have happened. Yeah. But for me, it did not have to happen. So once I healed from that, 6 weeks later, started chemo, went through 8 months of chemo. That was probably the worst thing I've ever been through, because now let's flash back a little bit on the neuropathy part. Okay. We didn't know at the time in 2016 why I had neuropathy, but after I retired and before I found out I was diagnosed with cancer, I kept breaking out in these full body hives. And I don't mean like itty bitty tiny hives, massive 4-6 inches hives all over my body. I was going through the treatment of trying to figure out what environmental food, what allergy did I have that was causing this. But in talking with my oncologist, she put all of my picture together. And what I had was paraneoplastic syndrome, which is rare, but it's the cancer that I had growing in me that I didn't know I had that was causing the hives that gave me the wonderful neuropathy and a few other things. And so that's...
So they were all signs of something else was actually happening anyway.
Yes. I just didn't know. And paraneoplastic syndrome is something that is diagnosed after the fact. It is rarely something that some physician would put together and say, oh, you have cancer because you have all of these things happening. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Real cancer.
Yeah.
Another friend of mine, exactly the same diagnosis around exactly the same time. And that's why I way back, I wanted to get you on here way back. And I said the same thing to him. I wanted to get him on the podcast as well. And he's not with us anymore.
Right.
He got the bag. And last time I saw him was actually on my birthday. I had to make him breakfast on my birthday at his house. Yeah, at his house, because he said, I want your favorite breakfast that you make. And I saw him then, and he said, they've told me I've got heaps of time. I'm going to beat this. Everything's going to be absolutely fantastic. And 5 weeks later, he passed away.
Yeah.
And so, that's why.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, Tyson. That breaks my heart.
But, that's why I think it's important to talk about this.
It's hugely important because I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I know I'm lucky. When I was diagnosed stage 3C, so I only had one more stage to go before I was stage 4. And I was lucky that it had not spread to any other organs. But that was that. I'm lucky in 2 regards: in educating myself on colon cancer. Because as I was diagnosed, once you get past that first initial part of it and you get a plan, once you get a plan, it's almost, that's when you can breathe. You can't breathe until you get a plan. But once you know these X, Y, and Z need to happen, and this is when we're going to do it, that's when I started researching and finding out more about the diagnosis and what does it mean and what does treatment mean and what am I looking at here? Where am I going to be here? And so I was lucky enough that someone else who had a family member that was going through colon cancer, this wonderful person connected me with her. And through her, I got connected with a wonderful organization called Colon Town. And Colon Town is an online resource for patients that are going through colon cancer. But it's also for the caregivers and the spouses, the friends, anybody who is either affected by it, is a patient, any of that. You can go to colontown.org to get more information about it. But I dove into it. And it's right now, it is online on Facebook. It's private. So everything we discuss in there, nobody else is going to see it. It's just us. They are working their way off to a separate platform that's even better, to be honest. But so I dove into it, and it made me feel better because I could talk to other people that were just like me, that were going through exactly what I was going through. But what the crazy part, Tyson, is while I'm going through chemo and my dang numbness is getting worse, because the chemo that we have to go on that keeps us alive, its number one side effect is peripheral neuropathy, okay? And cold sensitivity. Oh, God, it sucked. So my neuropathy went off the charts.
Like, I shouldn't be giggling when you say that.
But you can, because oh God, the stories. But I ended up with full facial numbness. My tongue was numb most of the time. My chest was numb. Just there wasn't much of me that wasn't numb except my butt. Go figure. So there were so many questions that would come up in this group about how to deal with neuropathy that I noticed I was answering them because it was what we treated. And I knew the answer, and I knew what could help because I was helping myself. That I eventually reached out to the creators of Colontown, because in Colontown, there's these little neighborhoods. So if you're stage 4, you're in a certain neighborhood. So you can just have those specific conversations. Or if you are a certain genotype, then you have those conversations in that trials group, maybe. And so I said, hey, can I start a group for neuropathy? And they were like, yes, please, because we all have it. And so I started a group inside Colontown that is only for neuropathy. And it warms my heart because we have within that group now created some treatment processes for those that are now going through chemo with the certain drug that we have to take, where we now ice our hands and our feet so that it's reducing the neuropathy that people are getting now. And we started that as a patient-led research project, basically, and it is now becoming standard of care. And it's the most fucking awesome thing I think I've ever done in my life.
I think that is absolutely fantastic. And what I like about it is you've used your knowledge and your experience as a podiatrist to actually help this group of people.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Right? Unexpectedly. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, like I say, everything's supposed to happen for a reason. And sometimes do question a lot of things that happen. And I like to think there's a reason behind it. Yeah, my dad passed away when he was 49. I was only 17. I kept thinking, where's the reason in that?
Yeah.
There's certain things I changed in my life around that time afterwards that I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, or had the career I had if I hadn't got that kick back then. Yeah. I would have had a different path that I was on. So I think it's the same with you. You've had a few crazy things happen, and now you're on this completely different path. So when did you get the tick, the all clear?
So I got the all clear October of 2018. That we call it no evidence of disease.
Yeah.
Because I'm a stage 3C, I never get cured. I will forever, my whole life, be monitored. But I've been clear ever since. I just saw my oncologist. In fact, I retired my friend. She left me to go travel the world. And so I'm breaking in a new one, and I like her a lot.
So how often do you have to get checked?
So now I just graduated to once a year. Woo! It's awesome.
That is good news.
I know, it is.
So now you've got through all that and retired from podiatry. You're helping Colontown. Oh, by the way, I love that T-shirt. Was that your design, that T-shirt? The one I read out before that says colorectal cancer awareness, because that shit matters.
That shit matters, yes.
That's a great T-shirt. And then you've got on the T-shirt, you've got all the names of what people who have had colon cancer, what they would call their poo.
Yeah.
Their poo. So and I like Dookie. I haven't heard Dookie for a while.
Oh my gosh, the stink pickle. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite.
I like the corn-eyed butt snake. This is all, by the way, people, just let you know, this is all on a T-shirt, which I think is very funny. Code brown, goat pellets, nuggets.
I did. I asked all of my friends, okay, what do you call it? And I had my good friend, Lauren, who is a graphic artist. I said, okay, Lauren, here's all the name. Here's what we call it. And I used the poop emoji and put it all in there. And he did a phenomenal job.
In the show notes, I'm going to put a copy of this shirt, the front and back, because it is a hilarious shirt. And I think you give everyone a bit of a laugh too. I like how they have put here, turd.
It's basic.
It's basic. It's very basic. And somebody else did put shit.
Yes, it's basic.
I don't know what a shoey is. That's a little bit weird. In Australia, shoey's called a shoey is drinking a beer out of a jogger. That's called a shoey.
Oh, no, a shoey. That's a stinky one. Yeah, whew. That's a big one.
Oh, that's like shoe fly pie.
No.
No, that's completely different. That's actually quite nice.
That's awesome.
Have you had that? Have you had shoe fly pie?
I did when I was in Philly.
Yeah. Yes. That's pretty good. I got it from this town called Intercourse.
That's where I had it too. That's right next to Bird in Hand.
Yeah,
yes.
where the Amish had the shop there.
Yes.
And they were selling shoe fly pie.
Where I had it. Yeah, that's awesome.
And people don't think this podcast is educational.
There's so much education.
Some people think this show is not educational.
Tyson, I could go on and on about poop.
So now you have your own business. You've set up something else called One Stop Promotional Products. And if people are looking for it, it's the number one, onestoppromotionalproducts.com.
Yes.
People can go there and check it all out.
Either way, you can put the number one or spell out one. Both ways will get you there.
Oh, cool. Okay, I wasn't quite sure. So onestoppromotionalproducts.com. So this is your business that you're doing now, all promotional products. Yeah, you're servicing mostly America. Do you ship it overseas or anything like that?
No, right now we're not doing anything overseas because it's a little too crazy for that right now.
Yeah.
But we are mostly 95% B2B and we love it. We love it. We have 2 airlines and 175 active companies that we work with monthly. Cool. And adding more, we add more weekly. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm going to order something and pick it up when I come over in December.
Oh my God. And I'm going to put a big stink pickle on it. I'm going to tell you that right now.
But get ready. So how did you get into this? What was obviously like you retired young.
Yeah.
And did you end up selling the practice?
I sold my shares in the practice. So the other docs were still there practicing. And so they were not ready to retire yet, obviously.
No.
They were still doing it. We were all pretty much the same age. So they were still doing their thing. So I sold my shares and got out.
Okay. And then being young, as you still are, in my eyes.
Absolutely.
Is this we got to do something else? And that's how this came about?
It was totally by accident, 100% accident. I going through the cancer thing. I didn't do anything that year, obviously.
Yeah.
But in 2019, my wife and I were talking about, let's do something for fun. I'm getting bored. I need to do something with my hands. I like building things. And somebody said, hey, why don't you get one of those Cricut machines and make signs? And a Cricut machine is like a machine that you can send a design to and it'll cut it out for you. And then you can put the vinyl or whatever on signs. I'm like, okay, that sounds fun. Yeah. And so I was just doing it for fun. And our local Mexican food restaurant that we go to entirely too much, but I refuse to stop going. They were like family. And they said, hey, are you doing some fun stuff? Can you make t-shirts? Because their shirts were horrible. They were truly horrible. And that night we said, you know what? We don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Because they needed shirts. So we went home, we bought a cheap Amazon press. I watched about 10 YouTube videos and was like, screw it, let's make some shirts. And so we literally did that year it was their Cinco de Mayo shirts. And all it said was Margarita's Mexican Restaurant on it. That's it. That's all it said. But we made them. And they could not have been happier with them. And customers said, hey, where'd you get your new shirts? And they said, Dana and Becky. And then next thing you know, we got more business and more business, and it got to where we said we might need to figure out how to do this with more professional equipment.
Yeah.
And so we upgraded to more professional equipment, as you can see behind me.
Yep, I can see it all there.
And now we run two professional heat presses on a regular basis daily, and just added this fabulous 2-head embroidery machine behind me. So we didn't have to outsource that anymore. And so we do apparel, no minimums in-house, which is awesome. But then if you need things like pins or name badges or you name it, literally anything you can think
Lip
of.
balm.
Lip balm. Yes.
Lip balm.
We work with wholesalers for that. And so we have access to over 2 million products, which is fun.
I know when I was on the website having a look around, it was so much fun looking at everything. And I was thinking, as a podiatry business, and I've got one particular podiatry friend called Carly, who just loves swag.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything that's branded and got names on it. And,
swag, right?
And I must admit, I got so many T-shirts. I got like 200 T-shirts that I won't part with. Half my T-shirts I've picked up at events, podcasting conferences, and I just love. I'm the same thing. I just love that sort of stuff.
Right. Well, so again, something I didn't see heading my way was all the things that I learned at Top Practices and Dave Freeze and reading Jim Palmer, all those things. That is now what we do.
Yeah.
So we are that aspect of your business that keeps people top of mind. And that's the fun part, because I have a little different spin on how we present products. I'm not going to present you just a cheap koozie, which a lot of companies will do because it's a cheap koozie. Yeah. If you are an electrician, I'm going to present you something that is for your field, that a customer is going to want for the rest of their life. They're never going to get rid of. They're going to keep it, and they're going to call you over and over again. And that's why we keep getting business.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've been to places where they will have promotional products and it is cheap. I mean, you're right with the pen, and you've got RSI before you've written about the fourth word, because it's just, there's so much resistance against the paper.
Yeah.
Or you'll bring something home and your first time you use it, it just breaks. And to me, that makes a business look bad when they hand out crap swag. Whereas if they hand out quality swag that you use again and again, then all of a sudden it actually puts that business in a positive light in your mind.
Right. And it keeps them top of mind.
Yeah.
Like, it truly does give them that up advantage over maybe somebody else. A lot of times I talk to customers, potential clients that say, okay, I want 5 different things. And I'm like, well, what's your budget? And they maybe say $500. I'm like, all right, let's get one really good quality swag item for $500. Let's not get 100 of all these other little things, because all those other little things are going to go in the trash. But this one really cool thing is going to sit on somebody's desk, and they're going to look at it every day.
Yeah. I got stubby holders done, stubby coolers, your koozies, as you call them over there, 15 years ago, before I sold the clinic. And I've still got a number of them here at home that I still use. And I've gone to people's places and I've seen them sitting with their stubby holders with a stubby in it 15 years after having them made, and they are still looking solid as. Yeah.
Right.
That's quality.
That's what we're all about. And that's one of our taglines, is quality products only. That's the focus. I don't want you just walking around with a bunch of cheap shit. Let's go with something good, quality.
Well, I think everyone listening to this, to me, that just applies to everything in life. Even your podiatry business is provide a quality service. If you're going to buy machinery, get the best that you can. Just get the best, because it will last longer. Give the patients the best, whether it's covering material or what you're getting the orthotics made of. Just always do the best you can.
Right. And if it costs a little bit more, explain to the patient or the customer, whoever you're talking to, tell them, okay, it costs more because there's more going into this one. There's more time. The product's better. The craftsmanship is better. There's education behind it. It's not just, oh, I went online and ordered a pin from I don't know where, and I don't know who makes it, and whatever. Spend the time and talk to your patients, especially because if there's something that you should be offering, but you're not because you don't think they'll buy it, they're buying it on Amazon. So why can't they buy it from you? But it's a better product if you're getting it from a reputable vendor, or you know that, okay, this product is a better product than what they're getting on Amazon. Why can't they spend money with you versus Amazon?
It's true. And even the pen that I use most, this one is from a podiatry clinic friend of mine, Soul Focus in Toowoomba.
Nice.
And
Ooh.
it is a
that pen is my top seller.
This is a beautiful pen to write with. And whenever I run out, she usually sends me a few more.
I'll get you some to take home.
They're just really good pens. It's just the feel of it. And she got the whole pen done like in her corporate colors, what her clinic is all about as well. And she said the same thing. Wanted a quality pen, wanted something when people write with, they go, I want another one of these pens when they run out. And that's exactly what I do. But I do see it. So she doesn't have to send them to me. I'll just pick some up next time I'm down there. So on that note, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, sharing what got you into podiatry, what got you out of podiatry, which I think is just as important, and what you're doing now. And like I said right at the start, I've always loved your energy, love chatting with you. You're so much fun to be around.
Thank you, Tyson. Same as right back at you. I think as we met, there was no doubt we were going to be destined to be lifelong friends because we laughed too much together, for sure. So, and before we get off, I will just say this. If you are 45 or older and you haven't had a colonoscopy, please get one. They're not scary. All you do is poop the day before, and everybody poops. So that's not scary, but get it done. And if you're not 45, but you're having symptoms, force your doc to get you in to get it done. You really just need to get it checked out. So it'll save your life.
That is fantastic. So I look forward to talking to you again soon. Oh, and I'll see you in December anyway.
Yes, can't wait.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I hope you found today's episode and conversation with Dana Cardinas as inspiring and eye-opening as I did. I learned a lot. Like, I've known Dana for a while and I know the struggle she's gone through, but even I learned a lot from this conversation. Her story is a reminder that life doesn't always follow the path that we've planned. But sometimes it doesn't mean we lose our purpose. Dana's journey from passionate podiatrist to cancer survivor and now a thriving business owner, it's a powerful example of resilience, reinvention, and I believe a lot of heart. What really stood out to me though was how she continues to serve others, whether it's through a high quality promotional products, the business that she has now, or leading a support group that's now improving global treatment standards. It is amazing. And that's how you can tell if someone really cares about other people. As a podiatrist, they cared. And now, even as a non-podiatrist, is still caring about others. If her story moved you in any way, please share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who might be going through their own unexpected pivot right now. And as always, if you're looking for guidance, clarity, or someone to help you reshape your own podiatry journey or business, please reach out to me. Mentoring is what I love to do, and I would be honored to help. So that's it for me this week. I want you to look after yourself, look after your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now. I thought this episode would be absolutely fantastic one to leave an Easter egg on. And today's Easter egg is all about the ideal clinic. And a lot of people want to have the ideal clinic. I totally understand that, as you should. But I think you've got to take a step back before you can have an ideal clinic. Before you can have an ideal clinic, you probably need to have an ideal year, an ideal month, an ideal week. But prior to that, you need the ideal patient. And it all builds from there. When you know who your ideal patient is, from that you can end up building the ideal day. Once you know what the ideal day looks like, you can then create the ideal week. Once you create the ideal week, you create the ideal month, and then month after month, you create the ideal year. When you're having the ideal year, year after year, you will attract the right team members, and eventually you will have the ideal clinic. I hope you get something from that, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.